Uh, 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 uh. Hello world, it's me again. It's the Don coming to you live from the 75. Why? Cause we global, baby. Yeah. Every show is interesting, so I don't need to tell you that this show is gonna be interesting and that I have some interesting topics for you. But I do. But I just want to say something that's been on my mind all day. I understand that if you don't like yourself, then how can you like me? And if ladies, if you don't like me, then you probably don't like men. But all of that hate in your heart gonna kill you. And there's a whole lot of love around here. I just can't seem to get to it. That just explains and describes just what's been on my mind. I don't really care for people who project how they really feel about themselves onto other people. I think it's corny at best, and I think that you need to go get a life. So the word of the day ties into that thought right there. And the word of the day is fugazi. What is fugazi? It's an adjective. It means fake, unauthentic, substandard person or thing. Yo, and this is coming to you from Urban Dictionary. So from time to time we'll go to urbandictionary.com. But for the most of the parts, I said for the most of the parts. For the most of the time, we'll go to Merriam and Webster and see what those old heads are talking about over there. Fugazi. Fugazi. Yo, those gold chains ain't real, son. They fugazi. Fugazi just it's a fun word to say. Fake, upped up situation, false. It's just, you know, there's some people who are acting fugazi, and I'm not okay with that. But I mean, hey, maybe I've been acting fugazi myself. I don't know, but I have an open door policy. You can always call me, and you can always say what's on your mind, and I'll let you speak. But then, best believe I'll have something to say when you're done talking. There's gonna be a rebuttal, unless you have me beat on every single point. But there will be a rebuttal, for the most part. But I'm not a hoe. You're not gonna treat me like a hoe. 3 or 4. You know, I'm that I nah. All I'm gonna do is keep building a lamb while we drive it over here in the mansion, and and continue to be envious. Straight up, unconquerable, influential. That's what it is. So anybody who can't match the energy, can't match the vibe, hey man, sucks to suck, and that sucks. So Fugazi, and I couldn't find Fugazi anywhere. Well, I didn't really look. I didn't really look that hard. But apparently Fugazi is a real word, or is a real slang word, and it's military slang meaning ucked up situation made famous by Vietnam War stories. So it's old. It's old, but I've always been saying it. So moving right along, we're gonna move into some local news that's going on that I'm very very excited for, and I'm very very proud of the people in my city, in my cities, doing very very big things. This comes to us. Let's see. This article originally came from Wavy 10 News, by Julius Ayo. And this is talking about the High Tides Cannabis Summit coming to Portsmouth with performances from Kevin Gates. They just added him and 3 6 Mafia, and it's a lot of other people up there like Shaggy, Rick Ross, City Girls, Gucci Mane. Um, Matter of fact, 420 ish festival in Portsmouth, and I'm really proud of these guys. I am really really proud of these guys. I believe the tickets are about $200, so I need to go ahead and get mine. See, got the website up. It's in 28 days. Let's see. Let's see how much the tickets cost. Oh, that's not bad at all. Considering who they have coming, and this is in our backyard. Um, well, this just depends. It's just gonna be a 1 day thing for me. Offering 2 days admission, 2,000. You're gonna make that back. Like just giving people a reason to actually go to Portsmouth, because there is no reason to go to Portsmouth. Just being honest, there's no reason. So I guess this is more so the reggae side of it. What's going on? So this is the 24th, and these are the headliners right here. And then the 23rd, you have City Girls, Rick Ross, Gucci Mane Plies, Young M.A., Trina. I didn't know she was gonna be there. And these individuals right here. But it seems like they've added a couple of more people. Kevin Gates, 3 6 Mafia. So I did not know that, and this is actually the official website. So I don't know when this was actually updated or whatever the case might be. I I didn't see that. Yeah, let's continue as me. I did not see that, man. So yeah, they're not up there. I don't know why this article is saying that. It just sounds like fake news. Yeah, I don't see it. So I don't know. That's not cool. But this article is talking about the cannabis advocates along with rappers I said Cates. What in the world? Kevin Gates and 3 6 Mafia are convening in Portsmouth in April. This is scheduled for 420. Some of the most recognizable cannabis advocates in police, business, and entertainment will converge at the Renaissance Hotel in Atlantic Union Bank Pavilion in Portsmouth. The High Tide Cannabis Summit aims to bring community members from all walks of life together and elevate the conversation around cannabis. The event will feature informative sessions on topics including medicinal breakthroughs, criminal justice, agriculture, and economic development. And all of this is being okay because cannabis was legalized, and recreation, medicinal, for medicinal purposes last year in Virginia. The event begins at 11 a.m. on 420, with most of the events happening at the Renaissance Hotel. The schedule for the summit is 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Doors open. You can read that. Criminal justice reform and reentry. Cannabis buds making millions. Yeah, they making millions, and it takes a lot of money to make money in that industry. Flower power. Cannabis health and wellness. Grow your legacy. Hosted by the Smokers Club. Business mixer. That's kind of dope. And then the event ends with a performance from 3 6 Mafia, Kevin Gates, Smoke DZA, and DJ Karen Rock. That is so dope, man. That is so dope. Tickets go on sale Friday. Get your tickets here. For more information on the event, click here. This isn't the only marijuana themed event in Portsmouth around 420. The 420-ish Unity Festival is happening. Oh my, oh, okay. Ah, is happening April 23rd through 24th at the Portsmouth Sportsplex. Between 10K to 15K attendees expected to watch acts such as City Girls and Rick Ross. It's been marketed as having something in the water vibes. This is a whole totally. That's a completely different article. Completely different event. Oh man, wow. Who's putting this event on? Who's doing this? Wow, these tickets aren't even expensive. Shit, I might just take me a little date to this. Wow, that is crazy. Huh? Huh? Okay. Yeah. These tickets aren't even. Look, if you wanna, where's this? Man, that is not a bad deal at all. That is not bad. That's all right with me. Huh? Okay. So there are two events going on that weekend in Portsmouth. You have the High Tide Cannabis Cup, uh, Cannabis Summit, and then you have 420-ish festival. Huh? Oh, oh, they got big stars coming out here, man. These are big stars, man. Method Man, Red Man. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm not mad at all. I'm thoroughly impressed. All right. So moving along. This is interesting right here. Biden has the power to close the boyfriend loophole in the Violence Against Women Act. This is coming to us from the Huff Post. President Joe Biden signed a reauthorization of the Violence Against Women's Act. Let me pull. I want to pull this out. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna open up more tabs. Pull you over here. Pull you over here, cause I'm done with you. And just open you up. Last week, a major accomplishment after the bill languished in Congress for years, basically just sat there and was deliberated on in Congress for years during the Trump administration. But there was one big omission in the final package. And gun safety advocates think Biden could fix it right away. So before we keep reading, what is the Violence Against Women Act? So we're gonna look at it. We're just gonna get a quick definition from the actual website. Cause we just want a background on it. Uh, this is not what I want. I don't like going to what you call it to Wikipedia. Let's see, this might be it. Yeah, this is not telling me what I want. We're gonna check out Wikipedia real quick and see if these sources are cited. Yep, sources are cited. All right. Violence Against Women Act is a law signed by President Bill Clinton on September 13th, 1994. The act provided 1.6 billion towards investigations and prosecution of violent crimes against women, imposed automatic and mandatory restitution on those convicted, and allowed civil redress when prosecutors chose to not prosecute cases. The act also established the Office on Violence Against Women within the Department of Justice. Mm, 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 mm. This. I just want to get the nitty gritty of it. I don't really care about it getting into law or becoming a real thing. I don't really care about that. Okay, so the House passed a bill reauthorizing VAWA in April 2019 that includes new provisions protecting transgender victims and banning individuals convicted of domestic abuse from purchasing firearms. That's what we're getting to. That's what this article and this topic is going to be about. Is the boyfriend loophole, which is we'll read about it. Um, the Independent Women's Forum has urged Congress to include provisions enhancing penalties for female genital mutilation and funding to combat FGM, which is the same thing, which is that. And 500,000 women and girls in the U.S. are at risk of female genital mutilation or have already been subject to such abuse. So that's a lot of people. And women vote. All right. So this act was developed and passed as a result of extensive grassroots efforts in the late 80s and 90s. Advocates for the battered woman's movement included sexual assault advocates, individuals from victim services, law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, offices, the courts, and the private bar. They urged Congress to adopt significant legislation to address domestic and sexual violence. One of the greatest successes of this act is its emphasis on a coordinated community response to domestic violence, sex dating violence, sexual assault, actual assault, I gotta stop saying that, and stalking. This act also supports the work of community-based organizations that are engaged and work to end domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. I just said that. Particularly those groups that provide culturally and linguistically specific services. Additionally, goodness gracious, period. Additionally, they provide specific support for work with tribes and tribal organizations to end domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking against Native American women. So of course, they're gonna get all the grants in the world. Look at all these grants. Give me a grant for school. Can I get a grant for school? My pockets are getting abused. Can I get a grant for that? So this is basically what it is. Do your research. Do your own research. All right, President Joe Biden signed the reauthorization of the VAWA last week. A major accomplishment after the bill I already read that. All right, with the simple stroke of a pen, Biden could close the dangerous boyfriend loop. Advocates say this act includes prohibitions on gun ownership for people who have been convicted of domestic violence, who are spouses, cohabitants, or people with whom a victim has a child. But the boyfriend or dating partner loophole is a gap in gun safety protections found in this act that it has historically allowed unmarried dating partners convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence or to buy or own firearms. I don't have an opinion on this yet. So I'm not going to I'm not gonna really state my opinion on this. And by the way, this is the home of the anti-heroes. And then I got my smokes. I got my vanilla Coke coffee. In 96, 2 years after the act was created, the Lattenberg Amendment was passed with bipartisan support. I want to look that up as well. Ooh, sheesh. We might go into that tomorrow. Hmm. Cool. Was passed with bipartisan support in the Senate. The amendment, which garnered support from the Republican senators, prohibits gun ownership for attempted use of physical force or the threatened use of a deadly weapon committed by a current or former spouse, parent, or guardian of the victim, by a person with whom the victim shares a child in common, by a person who is cohabitating with or has cohabitated with the victim as a spouse, parent, or guardian. Interesting. Essentially, the protections cover any convicted domestic abuser except stalkers and current or former dating partners. Often overlooked, however, is the next sentence, which says that gun ownership is additionally prohibited by a person by a person who may also be situated to be a spouse, parent, or guardian of the victim who has been convicted of a misdemeanor domestic violence. Biden could clarify that similarly, goodness gracious, situated language through a regulatory process that would broaden the definition of who is a domestic abuser in the eyes of federal law. They just keep on broadening and broadening and broadening and throwing things in the bucket, man. Not it's like they don't want to make anything just what it is. Like, hey, you know what? I I identify as a 6'9" man who weighs 265 pounds, and I have LeBron James money. That's what I identify with. So when I go to the bank, I identify with having LeBron James money. So therefore, I should be able to get whatever I want. Like, come on, man, y'all making things. I don't. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. It's whack. It's whack. Celebrating average. What Kevin Samuel will say, average at best. Why y'all celebrating that, man? That section of law has been interpreted by quite a few courts, and they're recognizing on a case by case basis that the language clearly means more than the articulated intimate partner statuses that preceded. Come on, man. It's just open for interpretation. Like, it's what I get from that is like, shit, me and mine's versus you and yours in the court of opinion. So, if my lawyers are better than yours, I'm gonna get you stuck. I'm gonna get you hemmed up. What? You mean to tell me I can't buy a gun? Well, nah, I get it. I get it. I get it. If charges were pressed on you because of a domestic occurrence and it ended up being a misdemeanor or higher, then you can't purchase a firearm. So I get the gist of it, but how do you know that I'm not even thinking about that person letting go? Just like I let these locks go, I ain't looking back. Everybody don't think like me, and I get it. But making assumptions. Anyways, move right along. Da, 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 da. So leaving this issue to be solved subjectively by different courts across the country is problematic for a number of reasons. It doesn't give clear guidance on how the federal government defines a domestic abuser and who specifically will lose the right to own a firearm. Exactly. That's my point exactly. It also leaves background check operators attempting to ascertain who should be denied the purchase of a firearm in a gray area. Man, come on. Come on. I knew it. When I seen boyfriend loophole, first thing that came to mind was gray area. Gray area, Christian Gray, which could cost a domestic violence victim her life. So where does Biden and his administration come in? The president could direct the Bureau of ATF and explosives to propose a definition that clearly defines the dating relationship that fall under similarly situated to a spouse, included in the Lattenberg Amendment. The ATF and the Department of Justice would then submit that proposed definition to a notice and comment period to update the regulations. The Biden administration has already done something similar. Last May, the president directed the Department of Justice and the ATF to propose a regulation to stop the proliferation of ghost guns, which are unregistered firearms often purchased in separate parts to evade authorities. The regulation went through a notice and comment period, and the administration is awaiting a final rule, expected sometime next month. Like, I get it. Sometimes it's a deep rabbit hole, but sometimes it isn't. The regulatory process would ensure that a future Republican president wouldn't simply be able to undo the change through executive order. Any future administration would have to go through the rulemaking process all over again, and if it wanted to change the language back to its original text. Although the length of a regulatory process can vary greatly, Wilcox anticipates the process to close the dating partner loophole would be similar to that of the timeline on ghost guns. We know how vitally important this type of clarity is because dating partners are just as likely to kill their partner as a spouse is. I mean, facts. Man, look, your best bet is not to date. No long-term relationships, no cohabitation. And don't have kids with people who you haven't known for long periods of time. Straight up. Then you don't even get to this point. Research shows that access to a gun makes it 5 times more likely that an abusive partner will kill his female victim, and nearly half of all women killed in the U.S. are murdered by a current or former intimate partner. According to the Educational Fund to Stop Gun Violence, every month an average of 70 women are fatally shot by an intimate partner, according to Everytown for Gun Safety. In 2020 alone, 60% of intimate partner homicides were committed by dating partners, and 80% of the domestic violence calls to law enforcement involve dating partners, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. The legislation needs to be updated to reflect the times. People are marrying much later in life, and there is a greater rate of divorce, which means the number of people who are married is much less than it used to be. So the population that is left at risk is higher than the population that's covered. Man, look, y'all did this. Y'all did this. Y'all incentivize people to not want to get married. The laws are jacked up, man. The marriage doesn't benefit men. It doesn't. How does it? We can do that show, but it's too much information out there. I want to talk about something else. You don't need to hear that from me. There's nothing that comes out of cohabitating for men. Cohabitating with this breed of women. Nothing good can come from it. More times than not. I would say 8 times out of 10, it's no you don't need to, man. If you need to live with a woman because you can't afford your rent, well, you need to get a better job. You need to man the fuck up and do better. Straight up, man. And getting married? Nah. You don't need to get married to have kids. There's too many options out here. All these technology articles that I'm putting out here, man, I'll do an article on that as well. But the information is out here. You don't need me to do it. You know what I mean? Surrogacy. You know what I mean? And even with that, that's tricky. Because, like, man, this is just, bruh, control and gray areas. It's so sick. It makes you want to disengage from everything. It makes you want to stay anti. It makes you want to become an anti-hero. It makes you want to become envious, as in unconquerable and influential. And stay out the way, for real. And know what's going on, but stay the hell out the way. Cause this is, like, I get it. They're trying to bring clarity to this particular act right here, Violence Against Women's Act. But at the same time, it's fuckery all through here. It's fuckery all through here. And it's just messy. It's messy as hell. It's messy. Gray areas. Even this article even said it. Gray areas, man. So long. Yeah, I'm almost done with this, so I'll finish it up so I can get back to making good time. So I can get to the next article, or topic. But your best bet is, like I said, I can't say it enough, man. No long-term relationships, no cohabitation, man. Like, you can be with somebody and not live with them. Straight up. Y'all can have kids and not live together. Like, even if you do have kids. I don't have kids. All the people that I've known who've had kids, they've lived together. But I personally, from the smartest people that I know in my life, they say, hey, if the love is gone, but you have kids, you cut ties, you have a schedule for when you're going to go see the kids. If the kids ain't 18 yet, you send that money. You send that money order, so you got that receipt. And if they bring you to court, which more times than not they are, because the laws are in favor of that side, you got receipts, you've been paying. So now they can't take your passport. They can't take your fisher's license. Driver's license can't get revoked. That's the goofiest of them all. Like, if I already can't pay my child support, why you gonna revoke my driving license, man? Now I can't even get to work. Like, you gonna make me take the bus? So then if I'm late to work and I get fired and I can't make any money, then what? Now you gonna send me to jail? Now I really can't pay it. Like, I control. Get you stuck, man. Man, that seed swimming around in your balls, that's that liquid gold right there, man. That's that liquid gold. That's life. You know, it's just like a plane. You know, you can have all the components there. But if you don't have gasoline in it, it ain't going nowhere. That plane is not going anywhere. Or when they decide that they want to make electric planes, which I know they already have. I mean, if it's not charged, it ain't going anywhere. Or plasma, or wherever, or hydrogen, I believe it is, hydrogen, nitrogen, something like that. Whatever the case may be. That plane ain't going nowhere. Shoot. Can't have no kids without that liquid gold, without that sperm. Straight up. Without that nut. Not what it is. So, gotta protect that. So, just make sure she swallow. Even if Biden decided to pursue the regulatory process he did with ghost guns, there would be major opposition from gun lobby groups such as the NRA. and the GOP lawmakers they fund. The NRA is infamous for lobbying against efforts to broaden the definition of domestic abusers, opposing 51 laws in 29 states that have helped disarm abusers. Despite all of the data that shows these gun safety laws are constitutional and effective, the NRA wants us to believe that women are being killed by shadowy intruders during home invasions. But we know that women overwhelmingly die at the hands of men they know. I can say that's facts. And the Senate Republicans who refused to close the dating partner loophole in this act made it clear by doing that by basically saying who they're working for. And it's clearly not the women who live in that state. Facts. My only issue is clean it up. Clean it up. Because I can see thousands of men who moved on. Was like, I don't care no more. I don't care. They done blocked you from every social media. They blocked your number. You might have kids together, and the only way that you guys might even talk or interact might be through like WhatsApp. So you don't even have the guy's real number. He don't want to see you, none of that stuff. You barely see him. The only time you see him is when you meet at the park to pick the kids up. And that's it. He don't deal with you. He doing good. And you just mad because he's just doing better than you. And he's not worried about you. Got a whole new girlfriend. And he's living his life. And then you might try and put something on him. And this act might don't be what could convict or indict that man. But I'm just trying to give the best example that I can to give you an idea of these gray areas. Like, it's too many damn gray areas. Too many damn gray areas. And the more that we do research and the longer that this show runs, the more you're going to see control, confusion, and gray areas, man. I don't like none of those. I don't like none of that in any relationship that I have going on, especially when it comes to women. I don't like gray areas. Unless it's how I can possibly violate your body in a pleasuring way. Confusion. I mean, unless I can tie you up and you can tie me up and I do you and you do me. And control. I mean, hey, I'm cool with investing in a swing or buying some vibrating panties or whatever. I don't know. I'm a pervert. I don't care. But I'm just saying, man, too many damn gray areas that can get your life messed up, and you might don't even be worried about this person. So we get the gist of this article right here. They're trying to close it up on the back end with, all right, after you guys have gone your separate ways and that person is still in their feelings and they might want to do something to you. So I get it and I understand. And I think that's legitimate. I really think that is a legitimate reason. But clean it up. Clean it up. And I mean, it's more important things in this world, but if women are the ones who vote for everything, and they're the ones who have the real power, even though, I mean, allegedly they may be still taking cues from men, but I don't know, because I don't know everything. Then clean that shit up, because I might have a daughter who may need that act enacted, or one of my friends' daughters may need that act enacted, and because it's not cleaned up, then someone got away with shooting her in the ucking face. You know? So please clean that up. Technology Act. Technology segment. Man, I really love the technology segments. Like this really just gets my gears turning, you know. All right, technologynetworks.com. This is where this article is coming from, and this was written by Mr. McKenzie. So this is right here. This was published 3 days ago on March 22nd, 2022. And let's go in. For the first time, a completely locked in patient can communicate thanks to a brain implant. I can already tell this is going to be interesting. A man left in a completely locked in state by ALS. I'm going to try and say that. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis has been able to communicate with his family and carers thanks to an implant. The device helped the patient, who was unable to move any muscles or even open his eyes, contact the outside world using only his brain activity. Rapid neurodegeneration. In the last decade, combinations of brain implants and brain computer interfaces, BCI, have enabled people with severe brain injuries or neurodegeneration to regain communicative ability. So basically, the brain is deteriorating or basically cut off from the limbs. So you're still alive. There's still a person in there, but you can't move your limbs like this. Everybody, get your roll on. Everybody. All right, so the new study, this was published in Nature Communications by an international research team, and this is the first to be used successfully in a patient with such severe neurodegeneration. The patient, an unnamed man in his late 30s, was first diagnosed with progressive muscle atrophy, a variant of ALS, in August 2015. The disease's advance was rapid. He was unable to walk or speak by the end of 2015. He used an eye tracking system to communicate. Such systems allow users to interact with the keyboard or software environment, but their limited utility is dependent on the neurons controlling eye movement remaining functional. From August 2017, the patient lost the ability to fixate his gaze. Anticipating that he would eventually lose the ability to even open his eyes, the patient's family reached out to Dr. Chadary and Niels Burt. I'm going to say BB and Chad, researchers at the University of Tubingo. So, what is ALS? Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is a progressive disease of the nervous system, affecting the nerve cells that produce movement. The progressive disease robs patients of voluntary control over muscles used for actions like walking and talking. There is currently no cure for the disease, and just 10% of patients live for 10 years after the diagnosis. Does the motionless body still hold movement in the brain? So Chad and BB are co-authors on the resulting paper, the result of more than 2 years of work that enabled the patient to communicate. Fellow author Dr. Jonas Zimmerman of the Weiss Center in Geneva explained in a news release that the study concludes an enduring debate surrounding the abilities of individuals in the most severe stages of neurodegenerative disease. This study answers a long-standing question about whether people can, with complete locked-in syndrome, CLIS, who have lost all voluntary muscle control, including movement of the eyes or mouth, also lose the ability of their brain to generate commands for communication. Going deeper, in June 2018, as the patient's last remaining muscle control deteriorated, the team moved him to a hospital near his home, where his motor cortex was implanted with 2 microelectrode arrays. For the patient, the brain surgery represented only the first ordeal in a grueling journey towards recovering his communication. At this stage, it was unclear whether he would ever be able to complete the journey. Several previous studies have tracked the ability of patients with locked-in syndrome to communicate with BCI interfaces. However, no patient had previously achieved communication once they progressed to a CLIS stage with loss of control over eye movements. Researchers had hypothesized that once all physical movement was lost, the neural signals that enable movement would also be lost, making brain-based communication impossible. One day after his implant, the patient began his efforts to prove that theory wrong. This is just amazing. It is. It's just so amazing where we have come, where we've come from. Like, it's gonna be a day. Well, I'll say this before I say that. That diseases are always going to be able to mutate and adapt and grow and learn. Just like artificial intelligence. I mean, how you think human beings have been here so long? I mean, we're still relatively new to the earth, but we've adapted. We've outlived a lot of things on this planet. Well, I can't say that because I haven't done the research, but we've been here a long time. Same thing with diseases. But I think one day they will be able to cure just about I'm talking about like 80% of all diseases. Then there's going to be a couple that are going to be plague ready. That eventually they'll get under control after it causes mass destruction. I mean, that's just history. Neurofeedback through breakthrough, or neurofeedback breakthrough. The research team asked the patient to mentally adopt his previously employed eye-based movement strategy, hoping that even with no movement, they would be able to decode the brain signals that his motor cortex would have sent to his eyes. However, the team couldn't detect any consistent signals. Similarly, when the researchers asked the patient to imagine hand or foot movement, the BCI couldn't detect a reliable signal. They refused to give up. On day 86 post implantation, the researchers decided to change tack, adopting a new approach based on neurofeedback. I decided to play his cell firing back to him so he could hear it. BB tells Technology Networks. This approach has been used previously. In BCI research, where am I? Right here. In BCI research, where subjects, upon being shown their cell firing rate on a screen, gained the ability to modulate it. Although he couldn't view the firing rate, the audio-based approach worked for the patient. Sorry, I live by a main road, so, and I got the window open. So, and I live not in the hood, but in the ghetto. Although he couldn't view the firing rate, the audio-based approach worked for the patient. That strategy broke the ice, says BB. Now he was able to control the BCI. To operate his BCI, the patient was played a tone that corresponded to the rate of fire of his neural activity. When the cells increased their firing rate, the tone raised in pitch, while lower activity produced a lower tone. After 12 further days, the patient was able to reliably increase or decrease his neural activity to hit one or two target tones. The higher tone was set to represent a yes response, while the lower tone meant no. This gave the patient the ability to painstakingly select letters read out by the BCI, allowing him to spell words. Sheesh. Bruh. Problem solvers, man. That's going to be another thing, too. That's going to be a common trend on the Mansion in the Sky podcast. I forgot to even say that when I came in. This is the Mansion in the Sky podcast, man, where we build the land while we drive it. Here in the mansion. Absolutely genius, man. Absolutely genius. And then they didn't even have to recreate the wheel. They just used the tactic that was already used previously. Over the next 360 days, the researchers repeatedly visited the patient's home, conducting multi-hour recording sessions. The study was interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, forcing some sessions to be conducted remotely, with the patient's wife controlling the BCI's hardware. In total, 135 experimental sessions were recorded. After months of silence, the patient began to communicate once again. The process was slow. The audio-based system meant that it took 1 minute on average for the patient to communicate a single character. But the patient persisted with his messages. On the second day, the patient wrote thank you messages to BB. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my goodness. On the second day, the patient wrote thank you messages to BB and his team, writing in his native language of German. Oh my goodness. This is brilliant. This is whoa. 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 Writing he split his messages between instructions for his care. Everybody must use gel on my eye more often. And when visitors are here, head positions always very high. And personal messages for his family, asking his young son whether he wanted to watch Disney's Robin Hood. Oh my, oh, 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 oh my goodness, yo. Oh my gosh. Wow. 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 Hold on, I have to read that again. After months of silence, the patient began to communicate once again. The process was slow. The audio-based system meant that it took 1 minute on average for the patient to communicate a single character, but the patient persisted with his messages. On the second day, the patient wrote thank you messages to BB and his team, and writing in his native language German. He split his messages between instructions for his care. Everybody must use gel on my eye more often. Bruh. And when visitors are here, head position always very high. And personal messages for his family, asking his young son whether he wanted to watch Disney's Robin Hood with him. Bro. Bro. The system didn't work flawlessly, and there are limitations to the study to consider. Each day began with training sessions where the patient had to show the ability to match his brain activity to target tones before proceeding to a speller session where he was allowed to freely select letters using the BCI. On 28 study days, the patient was unable to hit the target tones reliably enough to proceed to the speller sessions. Additionally, the researchers were only able to use a small number of the electrode channels to record signals. The team wrote in their paper that while they consider altering the approach to record from more channels, they felt that changes to the protocol may have risked breaking down the fragile communication line they had established with their patient. Finally, the output from the system wasn't always intelligible, producing intact and understandable phrases on 44 out of 107 days. But overall, the patient managed to produce 5,747 characters that the authors could decode, restoring the communication that would have otherwise been impossible for the patient. Successful communication has previously been demonstrated with BCIs in individuals with paralysis. But to our knowledge, ours is the first study to achieve communication by someone who has no remaining voluntary movement and hence for whom the BCI is now the sole means of communication. This is life changing. While the system used is not currently available outside of clinical research, the investigators have been modifying it to allow its use by the family without the researchers' technical input. The technology says BB is life changing. With communication possible, quality of life is good in ALS paralyzed patients. He says, patients tell us retrospectively that no communication is torture. The standard of care should improve dramatically if you can ask patients about pain, symptoms, etc., etc. The most important verdict from the trial, however, is that of the patient who communicated his thoughts on the system. That's in German. That's what the patient who has the ALS wrote. He wrote that in his native tongue. And this translated to, boys, it works so effortlessly. My goodness, man. Man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Good. I'm in awe. I'm in awe right now. We're, man, that blew my mind. That really blew my mind. Man, look, we build the land while we drive it, man. That's what we do over here, man. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do, man. These guys over in Geneva, I believe it was, found, well, not even found. I didn't even do the research on who found or who invented the way to interact with people who can't control their functions, their bodily functions. But whoever did that, man, you are blessed. And that's a mansion in the sky shit. My mind is blown. The fact that they had the first patient who could communicate through ALS basically tells you that these people are not gone. They are not checked out. They are here. Their brain is working. Man. My man. I can't even say nothing else to that, man. I know that a lot of people have lost faith in humanity, and I get it. It's called world. Dog eat world, they say. I like to say doggy dog world. Play pussy, you get fucked. But man, I haven't lost faith. I'm not that hopeful either, but man, that was amazing. This the Mansion in the Podcast. Shit. This the Mansion in the Sky podcast. I'm the Don, the Senator Smooth and Rude. The word of the day was fugazi. A lot of people out here acting fugazi. Energy is itchy at best. They acting average at best, man. I'm gonna let them do what they want to do. I'm not even chasing that, man. I'm only chasing people who really want to be here, want to be around me. As you should too. That's the envious way. Because there's a good chance that they are envious of you, but the way we want to live over here in the mansion is to always be envious. which is unconquerable and influential in every single way that we move, every single way that we live. We're not trying to appear perfect. Nah. We're not trying to become a target. Hell nah. We'd rather be covert. But man, that article blew my mind. And then the Violence Against Women's Act. I really don't have an opinion on it because, hey, the girls, they vote. Y'all got that shit. Y'all fought for the right to vote. Y'all are voting. Do I agree with everything y'all do? Hell no. Doesn't fucking matter. Because the people who can push the laws through, y'all vote for them. If we want to change, then we'll show up to the polls. If the powers that be don't want that, then they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna push what they want to push. But talking about closing up the tying up loose ends on this particular topic, clean up them gray areas, man, because it's too many gray areas just in, I feel like, in this country, in this world, and with, at least in my case, a lot of people who claim that they want to be in my life. And I don't like operating in gray areas. I like clarity. I like you to tell me what you want from me. Because then I feel like it's a finesse. I don't want to go to court if it just so ever happened to have happened or happen. I don't want to feel like a finesse is coming. And that's what that sounds like. A finesse could potentially happen. You can potentially take someone's right away to buy a firearm. And I mean, they were cleaning it up when saying that if you get charged with a misdemeanor, then if you had a kid or was a spouse or you cohabitated with that person, or if you were intimate with that person, then you can't purchase a firearm. But then where the gray area comes in is, what if that person lies? Because if you can't force, I don't know the laws on DNA tests, but what if the person lies and says, hey, they had my kid and they never got a DNA test? Then what? Now I can't protect myself because somebody put an allegation on me. You can put child support on anybody. Like, I get it. I'm not mad. It's just, I'm not playing the game anymore. I never played the game anyways, because, I mean, I'm a young boy. But I'm not playing the game. I don't want to play the game. I think the game is whack. I think the game is whack, man. I think the best way to play the game is, shout out to my aunt, Coach Greg Adams. Free agent lifestyle. I think it's the best way to deal with these people, man. They don't really have your best interests in mind, man. Yeah, and a lot of women that I've dealt with, they're like, you're always on something. I am, man. But it's like, do you really know what's going on? Do you at least understand the bare minimums? Like, I'm in school right now, and we're learning the bare minimum, the basics of the industry. So we can speak the jargon, we can move, we can maneuver, we can set a path for ourselves. Like, so when we do meet someone who could pull us up, and we get to talking to them, and we get to networking with them potentially, then they're like, oh, you know what you're talking about. Come on. We have an idea. It's nothing about this that sounds good. I'm all in for protection for women. I am. But what I'm not for is gray areas. I'm never gonna be for that. That's never gonna be a thing that I'm gonna rock with ever. Clean it up. Clean that ish up. So that being said, this is the Mansion in the Sky podcast. Once again, I'm the Don, the Senator, Smooth and Road, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Signal out.